Hello, peeps, and welcome to another Power Packed Phillips podcast. Mr. Phillips has his breakfast of champions, and he's ready to roll. Please make yourself a note that you do not have any homework tonight. Yippee skippy. Alrighty, today's lesson is going to be on lesson 3.2, solving two-step equations. So please copy that down in your notes/homework spiral. BRB. Please write down the equation in your spiral. The equation is 5x plus 9 equals 24. Notice in class we've been working with expressions, the difference between an expression and an equation. You got it. An equation has an equal sign. So keep in mind, this is an equation. Alright, first thing Mr. Phillips likes to do is whenever he has an equation, he likes to draw a line through the equal sign. So I would like you to draw yourself a line going down through the equal sign. That's the first thing I'm going to do whenever I have an equation. Next, I'm going to look for the distributive property. I do not have the distributive property. Remember, the distributive property has a number or a variable touching some parentheses, like right here. That's the distributive property. I do not have the distributive property in this equation. Since I don't have the distributive property, the first thing the crazy math teacher is going to do is he's going to label the hearts and stars. Let's make sure. Yep, good. So here's my heart. There's my variable x. Here's a star, a constant. There's a star, a constant. So since I don't have the distributive property, I labeled my hearts and stars. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to combine my hearts and stars. But notice that my hearts are on different sides of my green line. My stars are on different sides of the green line. So, an important thing I have to remember in math, whenever you go across that line, you have to do the inverse or opposite operation. Let me say it again. Whenever you go across that line, you have to do the inverse or opposite operation. So I'm clearly going to have to go across the line to bring this star over to this side. So since I'm going across that line, I'm going to do the inverse or opposite operation. So here's what I mean. This is a positive 9, or you can think of it as a plus 9. The inverse or opposite operation of positive 9 or plus 9 is to, those of you thinking, good job, subtract 9. So I'm going to put a minus 9 here. Other thing I'm going to have to remember when I'm working with equations, do the same thing on both sides of the equation. Do the same thing on both sides of the equation. So since I put a minus 9 here, I'm going to put a minus 9 over on that side. A positive 9 and a negative 9 give you 0, but instead of spending the time to write that they give me 0, I'm simply going to cancel them or cross them out. That's the fast way for me. I just cancel them or cross them out instead of writing 0. Now I'm going to subtract. If my coffee's flowing, when I subtract these, that should give me 15. Now I'm going to bring down the rest of my problem, which is 5x. Here's my equal sign. So now I have 5x equals 15. So I'm going to ask myself, what does it mean when the 5 is touching the x? When these are touching each other, that means multiplication. So I'm just going to put my dot for my visual people for multiplication. Now remember, we said when we're going across the line, we're going to have to do the inverse operation. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division. We are going to write our division as a fraction bar. So I wrote division because that's the inverse of operation. I wrote it as a fraction bar. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Now, the inverse of multiplying by 5 is to divide by 5. So I'm going to put a 5 here, and I'm going to put a 5 here. Whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do the other. My kids last year said this: whatever happens in yellow stays in yellow. Whatever happened in yellow stays in yellow. So if I have a 5 here in yellow, I put a 5 here in yellow. If I have a 5 here in yellow, I put a 5 here in yellow. Now, 5 divided by 5 is 1. But instead of writing that, I'm just going to cross them out because they're going to cancel. This really means 15 divided by, sloppy division. Get over it. 15 divided by 5. Still better than a lot of your guys' handwriting. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So I have x equals 3. Now, let's take a look at how to check your answer. Okay, let's check your answer. So please write the equation down again. 5x plus 9 equals 24. When we solved our equation, we said that x equals 3. So I am going to take out the x, and I'm going to substitute or plug in a 3. Now, before I did that, obviously the coffee is not working that good, because I should have told you, my bad, I should have told you that when the 5 coefficient is touching the x, that means multiplication. So, that's right, I made up for my mistake with my nice vocabulary word, coefficient. When they're touching each other, that means multiplication. So now I'll take out the x, and I'll put in the 3. Now here, I'm going to follow PEMDAS, order of operations. I don't have any parentheses. I don't have any exponents. Multiplication or division, whichever comes first, from left to right. So I do have some multiplication right here. So that would be the first thing I would do in this problem. 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. I'm going to copy the rest of my problem. Plus 9 equals 24. Now, I just simply finish it. 15 plus 9 does give me 24. 24 does equal 24. So since I get the same number on both sides, I know my answer is correct and it checks. So the two biggest things to remember when you are working with equations: whenever you go across that line, you have to do the inverse or opposite operation. The other thing you need to remember for working with equations, do the same thing on both sides. See ya, would wanna be ya.